Omaha, home of tumbleweeds, the Reuben sandwich, eat it New York, Warren Buffett, and poker. Badass, exciting, cool poker. Actually, the real origin story behind the Omaha poker name is still unknown, but let's not let that get in the way of a good story. And while we can't promise you'll get a bankroll like Buffett, we do know that having the right poker strategy will help you score some cash real soon. By the end of this video, you'll know the 5 expert skills that can transform a noob into a strategy superstar in Omaha poker. Choose wisely. Be patient. First, learn stand, then learn fly. As always, Mr. Miyagi speaks the truth. Of course, whether it comes to kicking ass in karate or Omaha poker. With Omaha, you need patience. There are a lot of bad hands in Omaha, and only a few good ones. So knowing exactly where your hand ranks and how to play it is crucial. The pot limit in Pot Limit Omaha simply means you can't bet more than the pot, so there are very few pre-flop all-ins and a lot more post-flop action. In Omaha, you get 4 hole cards. You can only play 2 of these cards. Got quad aces? Tough luck. There's none left in the deck and you should probably fold. Ouch. The best starting hand in Omaha is ace-ace, king-king. You should still be aware that even aces and kings can get cracked. They don't play too well against multiple opponents. There might not be enough aces or kings left in the deck. Still, when you draw a pair of aces or kings, you should almost always be raising pre-flop to narrow the field. Queen, queen, jack, jack, and big slick, no, not that guy, also known as ace-king, are the next best hands to start with. Next up, consider raising pre-flop when you draw 10s, ace-queen, ace-jack, and king-queen. You'll want to select your starting hands very carefully. You can't afford to play hands consistently that start you at a disadvantage against your opponents. It might work once in a while, but in the long run, it'll get too hard to make up ground post-flop. If you liked the video so far, consider hitting the like button and check subscribe. Understand wraps. If you want to make your Omaha game a lot less vanilla,
Alright, stop.
You need to understand wraps. Keep in mind, these apply to Pot Limit Omaha only. We'll use PLO just to keep things rolling. With 4 hole cards in Omaha, most PLO hands are won by straights or better. Quickly recognizing wraps and counting your outs should become second nature, and this will give you an edge. An out is any unseen card that will give you the best hand. The more outs you have, the higher the chances of winning some cash. Meanwhile, a straight draw with 9 or more outs is called a wrap. A wrap can be below, above, or between the board cards, and you must use at least 2 board cards and 3 of the cards in your hand. Only consider hole cards in your wrap when they are directly next to the board cards or up to 3 adjacent to each other. Here are 2 quick examples of wraps. A 13-out wrap means you hold 3 cards above or below 2 connected board cards, but not both. A 9-out wrap means all your hole cards are between the board cards. You can find ways to learn and memorize all the different wraps online, and pretty quickly, you'll know them like the back of your hand. Play your position. Positions matter, and keep your mind out of the gutter on that one. We're talking Omaha poker here. Stay focused. You use your position in Omaha to either build a pot or control a pot. Both skills are important to learn if you want to make some cash. First, a quick summary of positions though. The dealer, or the button, is in the best position because he gets to see how every player is playing and betting before he has to play. The closest to the left of the dealer, the worst position you're in. This is because you need to play before knowing what others are up to. As you move around the table from left of the dealer to the right, from what are called early positions to middle and late positions, you get stronger since you know more about who's doing what. Knowledge equals power, my friend. Use it wisely. Now that you know your position strengths, bet accordingly. Sure, your strategy might include betting aggressively from the early positions once in a while just to keep the other players from reading you too easily. But in general, you want to bet conservatively and fold often if you're in an early spot, unless you're holding a real hot hand. The closer you get to the dealer, you can rev up your game, bet more aggressively, and stay in the game a little longer. Know your nuts. Nuts. It's important to know them, and more importantly, how to play them. You know, so you can show everyone who's boss. The nut hand is simply the best possible hand for any given board in Omaha poker. With Omaha, you're playing with 9 cards per player, so it's very likely that someone has a nut hand most of the time. And that also means that you're not very likely to win the pot if you don't have the nut hand. Second nut and third nut hands are simply the next best hands possible after the nut. As the board unfolds, the nut can change, so knowing your hand rankings lets you make the right move. For example, if the board is 5, 6, 9 and you're holding 7 and 8, you've got the nut. But if a 7 comes up on the turn, then whoever's holding 8, 10 now has the nut. When you get more experienced, you'll recognize if you have the nut, or at least a second or third nut to take your chances with, more quickly. We'll move on before you go nuts. Pump it or dump it. In Pot Limit Omaha, most players don't have room to bluff since there's a good chance a strong hand wins every game. So what do? Pump it or dump it. Most of the time, anyway. That means you take advantage of good hands, remember those nuts, and at the same time, not pushing bad hands too far. Avoid calling unless you have a good reason, like trapping your opponent or increasing your pot odds. This will keep you in the game longer and put you in a position to go big before you go home. So to sum up, 1. Know your hands, folding regularly but also betting strongly when the cards are in your favor. 2. Understand wraps and know your outs. Recognizing them helps you calculate your odds of winning or losing. 3. Know how weak or strong your position is and bet accordingly. 4. Know your nuts. Understand what the best possible hand is at the flop and the turn so you can decide to go big or go home. 5. Pump it or dump it. Don't stay in a hand just for fun, and make sure you use your cash when you've got a strong hand. Now you know the ins and outs of what makes Omaha an action-packed style of poker, so you can grab a seat at any table and rake in the chips. And hey, while you're here, be sure to like, subscribe if you didn't do it already, and hit the bell button to get more awesome content.